on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Now, here are your hosts, Tom Stevens and Mike Melby.
Welcome in, Tom Stevens, Mike Melby, Husker Rewind every Sunday, 5 to 7. Boy, what a great weekend for Husker sports. Baseball wins today, another comeback for Husker baseball. They are now 9-4 on the season. Of course, Nebraska basketball clinches the 3 seed for the Big Ten tournament next weekend. I'm going to be going to that, by the way, Mike. And, of course, Nebraska women, even in a loss, it was to the third-ranked team in the country, fought hard, probably should have won the Big 12 or Big Ten championship today, but fall a little short in overtime to Iowa. Hey, Mike, how are you?
Good, Tom. How are you, man?
I'm good. This is
enjoying a beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day. I mean, you almost hate to be inside. I would be out playing golf, but actually I wouldn't, because I would have watched still the women's game. I would have watched the men's game. Well, was that fun, by the way, flicking back and forth, watching the women take on number 3 Iowa all the way down to the wire and then into overtime. Probably should have won it before overtime, but they lose a close one for the Big Ten championship. Instead, Iowa wins it, but a nice 4-day run for the ladies, and the men secure the number 3 spot in the Big Ten tournament. What's the bigger story? The men's win over the worst team in the league, but they secure the 3 spot, or the women almost taking down Iowa.
Just winning on the road for the men, that's a big deal because they've struggled, and I get it. Michigan has not been very good this year, but it's got to be the ladies with the run they had in Minneapolis.
Yeah, and Jazz Shelley in particular.
Set a Big Ten tournament record.
Yeah, 3-point record. Of course, yesterday in that upset win over Maryland, a team that took down the number 1 seed in the tournament, Ohio State, she gets 30 and just absolutely went off in that game. I think it was 11 points in a minute 27 down the stretch right before the half. She just took over that game. Today was more the normal. I mean, it was really a good game for Jazz Shelley. She had 16 points and a bunch of assists as well, but not the kind of scoring game. And really, Caitlin Clark had an off game today. She didn't play very well up for 30 minutes of that game, 20 minutes of that game, and then comes back in the second half and just dominates. So we might as well, as long as we're talking about it, we're talking about the opening kickoff. This is what we do before each and every show. We kick it off.
Lasher will kick it off for Oklahoma. The Sooners are in white. We are in Lincoln, Nebraska, and we are ready to go.
Everybody was ready to go today, man. It was a Husker athletic palooza. You had men's and women's basketball tipping off at 11. You had first pitch of baseball at, 12:05 or 12:35. And the softball team played a doubleheader yesterday, but all kinds of Husker athletics going on this week. Nebraska men's team finishes off a 22-9 regular season with an 85-70 win over Michigan earlier today in Ann Arbor. Keisei Tominaga went off for 30-6. He also had 2 steals, 2 assists. He had 23 in the first half. The Huskers used a 16-2 run early in the second half to put the game away. It was the first ever win by the Huskers at Michigan. Before today, they were 0-12. Josiah Alec added 15-5 plus a block. Rick Mast had 12-5-3 plus a steal and a block. Bryce Williams had 10 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. Juwan Gary adds 9 points, 7 boards, an assist, and a block. They will be the number 3 seed in next week's Big Ten tourney. They're going to play at 8 o'clock-ish, probably 8:30, or maybe even later next Friday against... Who knows? It could be Indiana. It could be Michigan State.
I think they're going to announce it tonight, aren't they?
Well, we're still waiting for the rest of the games to play out.
All right. Yeah, that's right. There's still a couple of. In fact, before our show is over, we will not know, right?
Well, we should. Yeah, we should know.
We should know everything.
We should know.
All right.
I'm hoping that Indiana is who it winds up being, just from the standpoint of I like that matchup better than having to take on Tom Izzo in March.
They're big and talented, but yeah, I don't mind the Indiana matchup.
Yeah.
I mean, Ware is really talented. He's a tough matchup for anybody in the league. But let's face it, this time of year, they're all tough matchups.
Yeah, they are. Husker women's team, as we mentioned a little while ago, hope for a Big Ten Conference title ended this afternoon as they blew an 8-point lead with just over 2 minutes to play in regulation. They ultimately lose in overtime, 94-89. Natalie Potts had 21-9. Alexis Markowski, 23-13 to lead Nebraska. Jess Shelley had 16 points, 6 rebounds, 13 assists. She also turned the ball over 5 times. Shelley did set a Big Ten tournament record by hitting 16 threes in Nebraska's 4 games. That's the most three-pointers made in the tournament.
We're going to miss her.
History.
I mean, she came back. Wasn't sure that she was going to come back.
Yep.
Originally a transfer from Oregon, but she's had a great career at Nebraska. Started a little slow this year, but really responsible for Nebraska winning 6 out of 7 coming into today. They fall. It's a tough one, but they should get a nice seed in the tournament.
Yeah, I'm betting they're going to wind up being a 7-ish seed, maybe an 8. Husker softball sits at 11-11 after winning 3 of 4 in Fayetteville, Arkansas over the weekend at the Razorback Rumble. Nebraska baseball appeared kind of uninterested in playing in the cold on Friday, and they got smoked 11-3 by South Alabama. They then respond with a 13-2 rout of their own yesterday over South Alabama. And then today, despite being down 5 runs and committing 5 errors in the game today, they storm back and win 12-7. And Husker baseball now sitting better. The team's a bit eclectic right now.
Yeah.
There's some bugaboos that you see that flare up, i.e., not timely hitting. The errors don't seem great sometimes. The not having Caden Brumbach in the lineup defensively for the next 6 weeks is going to hurt. He's got the arm injury. He still can DH though, but still tons of talent there. And the pitching staff seems to be steadying.
Yeah, I like Timmerman coming out of the bullpen. I think they've got a solid bullpen. Some of the Drew Christo has struggled at times. We'll see where that goes. But Todd Sears or Brian Sears, I believe, is been really pitching pretty well. I like the depth of talent in Nebraska. They don't have the power, but they still have power. I think Karen has 4 home runs. They seem to hit home runs. Tyler Stone, I think, is going to be a solid power hitter. But it seems to be a team that can get on base and hit in situations. At least they have so far. They've had, 4 comebacks? I think the stat was 10 and 223 going into last weekend. When they had a nice trip to Charleston.
Yeah.
And 2 of those were comebacks, I believe, in the 9th inning. Today, another comeback. Now, it wasn't late like those were.
6th inning, but yeah.
It was 6th inning, but they're showing it reminds me a little bit of some of those Dave Van Horn teams where if it was late, then that usually meant Nebraska was going to score a couple runs and win the game. We haven't seen that for a while. We've seen some good teams, both under Darren Erstad and Will Bolt. But I think they thought going into the season, this team might be different because of the depth, both on the pitching staff and guys, regular players. I think there's some versatility to this team. I mean, Will Jeski's a great story. He's a walk-on already, getting into the lineup on a regular basis. Walk-on from Southeast. He wasn't even guaranteed in the fall to make the team. So I think there's some good stories. I think this is the RPI is pretty good. The net is really good for Nebraska baseball. We'll see where it goes. But obviously, the lead story was Keisei Tamanaga today. In my opinion, Jazz Shelley was probably the lead story yesterday. And had Nebraska won, Nebraska women's basketball would have been the story. And maybe they are still anyway, because they did almost beat number 3 Iowa. And Caitlin Clark goes off for big points in the second half after not really being held down the first half. But I think the story is Tamanaga. 23 points, which is a high in the Big Ten for a half.
Yeah.
So that was what he was doing in the first half. And then he didn't have to score in the second half. He became a decoy. And he's a really good cutter. He's a very good passer. And credit him. I mean, he could have just kept firing bombs in the second half, and he didn't. He decided, no, I'm going to let myself be used as a decoy. And I thought he was really valuable in that role.
Oh, absolutely. And he winds up with a couple of assists on some really nice looks in the second half as well. I think back to a game last year in the post game, Keisei went off for 30-ish in a game last year and was 5 of 7 from 3 or whatever it wound up being. And in the post game, Fred Hoiberg said, he was asked, when did you know that Keisei was on a bit of a heater tonight? And he said, I don't know, probably when he made the one from half court.
Yeah.
And today, as Keisei pulled up from roughly 35 feet and drained one from the M,
Right.
I just had flashbacks of Fred going, oh, when he hit the one from about half court, that would be the time I knew he was on.
It wasn't just the 3-point shooting, though. His ability to cut, as I mentioned, he's hitting baskets at the hoop, and he's hitting really contested 2-pointers in the mid-range more often than he ever has. And I think the old Casey would have just bombed threes, 1-3 after another. He did take it to the hoop at the end of last year. But this year, he's become an expert at it. If you run at him, he's going to run around you and score.
The other thing that I noticed that he did today, which I thought was a massive improvement, and it's been getting better, he winds up on the floor, I would say, after 60% of the shots that he takes. And, I mean, it's always been kind of this acting job.
Mm-hmm.
And it always would be followed by him kind of complaining to the refs about,
not always the most liked guys by officials. I think.
And today he was on the floor after every one of those drives. Man, he was laid out on the floor, but I don't know that he was necessarily fouled. He was just doing what he needed to do to get to where he had some kind of an avenue to get that ball to the basket. He winds up making them, but only one time did I see him complain to the referees today. And after all the times that he wound up on the floor, and it was a lot, which I thought was it was just nice to see. I never want to see the guy that just every time somebody breathes on him, he's like complaining to the refs.
I don't mind the feistiness, especially when he's on your team. I mean, I see Caitlin Clark do similar things all the time. She's fighting for her team. And sometimes when you are a star and you don't get the star treatment, and Casey hasn't. We've had this conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Caitlin certainly does. I think Caitlin gets a lot of calls. Maybe doesn't get all the calls, but I don't think Casey gets all the calls, sometimes because of his theatrics.
And that's what I'm saying. And today he wasn't complaining.
No,
he was still winding up on the floor, but mostly it was his own accord. So
yeah, but he just has so much fun. I'm going to miss, and this is not a shock because everybody's going to say the same thing. I'm really going to miss that guy. And if he makes, and Nebraska has, I think, with today's win, solidified their entry into the Big Ten tournament, certainly. But then after that, the NCAA tournament, I think they're at least a 10 seed. Right now, they go into the Big Ten tournament trying to improve their seed. But that was a guy that just willed them to win. And he's probably not going to be first team all league or second team all league. But he would be so much fun to watch in the NCAA. I think he would be the number one guy that almost everybody wants to see play in the tournament, because you never know what he's going to do, what shot he's going to take.
If he plays like he did today, absolutely. If he misses his first two shots and kind of goes into the almost the shell that he tends to when he doesn't, make his baskets
for a while.
It's been a while, but and they were talking about it on the broadcast today of the NCAA tournament is going to love Keisei Tominaga.
Mm-hmm.
And you hope that he has a game. Like, hopefully Nebraska advances. They get to play that number 1 or number 2 seed more than likely, as they're more than likely going to be an 8, 9, or 10 seed.
I've heard DeCourcy say you'd almost rather be a 10 seed than be an 8 or a 9.
I'd rather be an 11 or a 6 versus a 7, 8, 9, or 10. Because then you've still got a very winnable matchup, a team that is probably, even if it's an 11-6,
right?
I don't think there's that much difference. It's all about matchups there. But you're taking on a 3 seed versus one of the top 8 teams in the country. If you're a 7, 8, 9, or 10.
Yeah.
So I would rather I don't think we get to a 6 seed without winning the Big Ten tournament. That's the only way. And even then they may still be a 7.
So Nebraska is a 3 seed. They take it from Wisconsin. It's really been, man, they have been struggling over the last month.
3 and 8. And starting with the Nebraska loss, they are 3 and 8 in their last 11 games.
Their last 11, they've lost to 8 of their last. That's a team that I thought was going to be great, and they played great. And I thought it was a really big win when they were inside the top 10, and Nebraska beat them. Now it's maybe less of a win, still a good win, because that Wisconsin team was playing really good basketball. This one, I don't know what's happened. I don't watch them on a regular basis. I know Chucky Hepburn has struggled shooting the basketball.
Yeah. It was weird because Wisconsin was on a roll coming into Lincoln, and Nebraska just flat out punked them. I mean, it was just an old school behind the woodshed.
I like that.
Exactly, and it seemed to have kind of broken Wisconsin. Maybe they figured out, maybe they get hot in the Big Ten tournament. But right now, wow, that's a team I would want to play in a tournament right now.
Well, we'll save some of the basketball conversation for BC. Brian Christopherson is going to be on with us in about 10 minutes. So we'll talk a lot of Husker basketball, throw in some Husker football talk. What is he looking as the lead headlines for spring for him as we head into spring practice, which starts just less than a month from now. I mean, this is going to be fun. Not less than a month, but right around then. Yeah.
Well, spring practice, I think they're starting a little bit later due to, I think they're starting after spring break.
Right. So we'll talk a little Husker football, but the focus being Husker basketball today. I did want to mention this before we shift back to Husker basketball with Brian Christopherson of Husker 24/7. The college football playoff begins obviously this year. Going to be 12 teams, the top 4 ranked teams, the highest conference ranked champs will get a bye in the first round. The 5 highest ranked teams, the champions, will then get a guaranteed spot after that. So that's your 7. But there's been some controversy about 2026 because they've talked about going. In fact, they will go to a 16-team playoff. And the Big Ten,
14.
I think is it 14 or 16?
I thought it was 14.
No, it might be 14. But the Big Ten and the SEC are asking for automatic bids.
2 of them per.
Right. And that's a big point of contention with all the other conferences.
I was
the
going to
ACC,
say, everybody else is like, absolutely not.
Everybody else hates it. And that is, I don't know if it's off the table, but it is being reconsidered. Obviously, the Big Ten thinks they deserve more teams because they deserve more of the piece of the pie, which they are getting anyway, as far as the TV contract. Well, we'll see what happens when the new TV contract comes out. I think the details of the college football playoff will follow after the TV contract gets signed. So you kind of want to do that. But I do think the Big Ten and the SEC are the leading power brokers, and they're going to get more teams ultimately than everybody else in college football because they're getting more money.
Let me ask you this.
They're paying for everything. Why shouldn't they get more teams?
Let me ask you this. By the kickoff of the 2026 season, will there only be 2 conferences that are even going to be allowed into the college football playoff? That is going to be 14 teams, and it's going to be out of the Big Ten and SEC, which are now 24-team conferences. And there's going to be 48 big players at the table, and there's going to be others that are going to be completely left out.
Yeah. And people are complaining. I understand if you're, Wyoming, for instance, you're upset because you can't do NIL at a high level. You don't get $50 million TV contracts. You don't get stadiums of 90,000 being sold out week in and week out. You simply don't have the revenue. So I understand. But it's, it was this way back in the 70s. When I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, it was a different form of power because if you were Nebraska or Alabama or Oklahoma, you could sign 120 guys on scholarship. There was no limit to the scholarships. And then somewhere in the 80s, they said 85 is the right number. And that started to level the playing field a little more. And now we're going to NIL, and I think the playing field is going back to where it was kind of the 70s and maybe 80s.
Based on an interview that Trev Alberts had here recently with the guys from Husker Online, I think he was foreshadowing a bit the possibility that schools are going to control the NIL money here pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And to me, then that leads to there's going to be salary caps.
You have to know what other guys are spending. There has to be a salary cap.
Yeah, because I mean, the Wild Wild West is what they continue to say. That's what it is. And it's like, yeah, I get it, but I also then read. Remember Rex Chapman from Kentucky? Mm-hmm. He's got a new book out. What's not in the book is him talking about how he was a all SEC academic All-American or SEC academic whatever, but he was an academic All-American, right? He had a 3.2 GPA. And that he rarely attended class. He rarely took tests, but Kentucky needed him to be the poster child for the good old boy, the guy that does great in school and everything else. He was told who he could date, and he was given a very large amount of money, nothing compared to what they're getting today. But he said, don't act like this is now the first time that players are getting stuff.
And by the way,
this has been going on for decades.
Right. And it wasn't just at Kentucky or Kansas or Duke.
It was going on at Nebraska.
It's going on
We have
everywhere.
some stories we could share, but that would probably end our radio careers, and we're not going to. So
we want it to last at least another week, our radio show. Well, so that's going on. It'll be interesting to see what happens when they finally get up to the 14 or 16 teams that they ultimately. I don't think it'll end it. I don't think it'll end anytime soon. I think it keeps expanding and expanding. I just think that's the way college football. They're going to find with more teams, you're going to have more revenue. I just don't think we're done as far as the expansion is concerned. But that's the college football playoff. The 12-team playoff obviously starts in 2024 this year. It'd be nice to see Nebraska a part of it, but that might be a couple of years away.
We'll see. It's going to be interesting. It's all going to depend on injuries and quarterback play.
Right.
Because if one of the injuries happens to a quarterback, who's the backup? That's going to be the key.
Yeah. And if that quarterback is Dylan Raiola, which we think it will be, is he ready to play as a true freshman? We're going to have a lot of storylines going into spring. We'll ask Tom Chattel about a few of those, and maybe BC. We'll talk a little football as well. We can do that. It's our show. And we do it every Sunday from 5 until 7. It's called Husker Rewind. He's Mike Melby. I'm Tom Stevens. Hi, it's Tom and Mike from Husker Rewind. And did you know that people who are represented by an attorney are often compensated up to 3 times more than someone who is not?
Friedman Law has been helping injured people for over 60 years. It's all they do. If you're ever seriously injured in an accident, call Friedman Law at 402-476-1093.
Friedman Law is a family firm that works hard for Nebraska families just like yours.
So if you're ever injured on the job or in a crash, contact Friedman Law at friedmanlaw.com.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive Certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
Liberty Law Group is committed to the defense of your liberty in pursuit of your justice for those that have been injured. My name is Matt Knight, attorney with Liberty Law Group. If you've been injured in an accident that wasn't your fault, call 877-42-LIBERTY. Our relentless trial attorneys are committed to the highest quality legal representation. At Liberty Law Group, we will fight for you. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Once again, that's 877-42-LIBERTY.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top-shelf liquor to crowd-favorite beer, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
Quote tweeted at
you did feel the need to cuss in this one.
Did
Yeah, you cannot be this mentally fragile. Act like you're a damned NCAA tournament team.
Listen, I'm not going to change the way I tweet.
Do you think Fred saw the tweet? Do you think Fred saw the tweet and called a timeout and they're like, Sorensen's upset? I got to get this.
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket.
As the chief buffet officer here at Pizza Ranch, I get all kinds of buffet questions. Here's one from Cole.
Is there a real cactus in your cactus bread?
Great question, Cole. No, there is no cactus in our cactus bread, just sweet cinnamony streusel. It's on our buffet every day, along with pizza, chicken, ice cream, and all your other favorites. Even better, at least for your parents, kids eat free on Tuesday nights. And don't worry, Cole, there's no coal in our coleslaw either.
Pizza Ranch, everyone's favorite buffet.
Nutrition Authority presents Activator. University studies have shown that Activator helps with building muscle and strength while decreasing body fat. Activator is for male and females of all ages who want to look, feel, and perform their best. Activator can only be found in Nutrition Authority. Stop in, call, or visit us at mynutritionauthority.com.
Landmark Implement is your local authorized John Deere dealer. Landmark's trained and certified sales staff will help you find the right equipment for your needs at a price that's right for you, all backed by Landmark's extensive parts and service network. Whether it's a tractor, planter, combine, an easy track lawnmower, or gator, every piece of equipment in pre-owned inventory is put through a rigorous inspection so it's ready to work hard for you. Landmark's team works together to make sure everything is sold meets their quality standards. Learn more at landmarkhemp.com or stop into a local Landmark location and experience the Landmark difference.
Today's agenda includes office meetings this morning, followed by a client lunch, then back to the office for another meeting, and ending the day with a presentation at a client's office. When you are on the go, you need an office phone that goes with you. At Hamilton, our business phone systems make it easy to sync your office phone features to your cell phone for quick and seamless call handling, no matter where you work. If your current office phone can't do this, you need better. Hire your local experts. Hire Hamilton at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
At Allo, we believe in the exceptional. From extraordinary whole home coverage to super fast speeds, our local teams are always on hand to make sure your service is running at top performance. Let go of lag, banish buffering, and enjoy outstanding service throughout your entire home. We believe in delivering nothing less than exceptional service, so that's exactly what we do. Visit us at allofiber.com to experience the exceptional.
This is Sunday Rewind on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to Husker Rewind here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. That is Tom Stevens.
Hello.
I am Mike Melby, and joining us now on the Allo VIP line from Husker 24/7 is Mr. Brian Christopherson. Brian, quite a day for Husker athletics today. They put on a show up in Minneapolis, although they come out on the short end of the stick and a couple of big dubs for men's basketball and baseball. How was your Sunday?
It was good. Good start to it. They weren't sleepy games at all. You worry about that when they start at 11 a.m., but they kept us entertained.
I would imagine you are headed to Indianapolis, where Nebraska will be a 3 seed. If I would have told you that a couple of weeks ago, would you have believed it?
Probably not. I've liked this team for a while, but I think Jawan Gary, I can't remember which game it was in the post game. He brought up the double bye phrase as a goal, and this was about 6 games or so ago. And I remember kind of thinking, okay, that's interesting. They've got a shot, but they're going to really have to basically win 5 of the last 6 or whatever it was at that point. And that's what they did, and that's what it required. But they're playing their best basketball at the right time. I thought today's game could be a worrisome affair because I thought, it's not going to be a lively gym. You're going to have to kind of bring your own juice. Even though Michigan has had a tough season, Doug McDaniel's a dangerous player, and you kind of wonder sometimes at this point in the year, people get that second win, okay, let's try to make something of this season now as we go into the conference. And I thought they might get a good shot from Michigan. So the fact that K-State came out just sizzling, and then I think they really dialed in defensively in the second half, and they could taste it and you could see it, and they never let that thing get too close or made us fret back here too much about it. So nice win, just handling business like you're supposed to.
Brian Christopherson joining us on the Allo VIP line from Husker 24/7. What was more impressive in K-State's game today? Was it the bomb from half court almost on the pull-up 3, or was it just all the acrobatic finishes at the basket? His game has really become well-rounded.
Yeah, that's a good point, Mike, because I don't think it's always appreciated how much he's worked to get better off the ball with his game and his movement and creating shots from himself. And then he's a great finisher around the hoop. He's got creative finishes, and for his size, he finds ways to contort his body to get himself first off in position, even get the shot off, and then he's incredibly accurate. So to your question, I think it's the stuff around the rim, honestly, because I'm not shocked when he hits one from the start of the logo anymore. I mean, that's sort of what we've known he can do. It's fun when he's rolling and he's doing a heat check, and it's like, yep, that stove is really hot. It's turned on all the way high heat. But I just thought he was showing his full arsenal today. Good day to do it too, because, with the all conference teams, it's not the end all be all, but it'd be nice if Nebraska got some recognition there. And I know, I voted on it this year, and today was the deadline. So it's a fine day for a player to put up 30 points when guys are about to submit their ballot. So hopefully that does him well.
Well, he was the All-League nominee, and we thought, well, that makes sense. I mean, he's probably the best player returning. But you look at this team, and it's a different player every night. Tonight, it was Casey. But it's been Rink from time to time. It's been Jawan Gary. It's been Tamanaga, certainly Bryce Williams. I want to ask you who the best player is, because it seems to change on a daily basis. But who's the most valuable player on this team in your mind?
It's a tough one to answer, and you could go about 3 or 4 different ways with it. You named most of them. I might say still it's Rink, and I know he has been, on and off sometimes offensively. It feels like the last month, and I wonder how much of that has to do with, he had the knee procedure in December, and I think he's really fought through it for this team. So I don't even know if we've seen him at complete health, full health. But when you think about how much runs through Rink, and, he's the top assist getter on this team as a big man, and the fact that he can stretch the floor, he'll have those games where he hits 2 or 3 bombs, and it makes the defense respect it that he could do that. And that really allows the whole spacing of the offense, I think, to sort of thrive in Hoiberg's system. So the nice part to answering that question is you could name him, you could name Casey. You could make a case for a junkyard dog like Jawan Gary. And heck, the last few weeks, you could say Josiah Alec. I mean, and that wouldn't have been your answer if you're talking about the full season. But if you talk about just like the last couple weeks, I mean, Alec has just been that kind of live wire who's, grabbing everything that's in the air, it feels like, and is a real pest to the other side. And then Bryce Williams. I mean, Bryce Williams is just a stat filler that does whatever is needed on that day. So I think one of the cool things about this squad is if you go and look at their 10 home wins in the league play, 5 of those games, they had a different leading scorer. That's very rare that you would find that where, you could have 5 different leading scorers in just that sample of 10 games. Usually it'd be like 2 guys, who kind of, this guy had 28 7 times and this other guy had it a few times. So the fact that they spread it out like they do, and they're okay with it, they're not a selfish team. They understand if this guy's a hot hand, we're going to feed him. I mean, the one time on February 1st when Nebraska had to get stuff going against Wisconsin, TJ Wilcher was that guy, and everybody fed him that night, and he was the man of the night. So it's kind of switched every few days on who it is, and that's a cool thing with this team is how accepting they've been of that.
7 total different players have led Nebraska in scoring in a game this year, which is almost an unbelievable stat. I'm glad you added Bryce Williams to that potential MVP kind of, for the season, because just chop the award up into 4 or 5 different, pieces and let it go.
Yeah.
Bryce's stat line today to me is actually more impressive as I look at it again. He only had 10 points and he's 0 of 2 from 3, but he comes up with 3 rebounds, 4 assists, and the big number, because he was kind of the guy that was the catalyst and the ball handler throughout the entire game, no turnovers, and no just, forced plays. And the fact that we've gotten away from what seemed like Jamarcus Lawrence at times trying to force stuff to let Bryce and the age and the maturity, you talk about someone who lets the game come to him. He's always so fun to watch, and he could be going off for 30. The look on his face is the same. The demeanor is the same. He could miss 4 straight threes, and the look and the demeanor is the same. And you've got to appreciate that even keel standard.
Absolutely, and he's got an awesome beard too. So you gotta love that.
Yeah.
You feel like with a beard like that, you could talk about like home projects, and he would have good ideas. But you're right. He's just he's a guy who kind of accepts whatever he needs to do in that particular game for Nebraska, and he does it. And if you also think about a few games where Nebraska's closed it out late, he's had some swats at the rim, that are impressive too. Like he swatted Edey, I remember, kind of in the last couple minutes of that win against Purdue, and it kind of sealed the deal. Then at Indiana had one last push, and he goes down and just takes it off the glass basically and ends it. So it's nice when you've got sort of these grown-ups on this team. I mean, they're just guys who are 22 years old, 4 or 5 year players of college basketball. They've been through it at different levels, yes, but they've played a lot, and they just kind of know what to do in certain moments. And I think you're seeing that kind of pay off. And you got to give Fred a lot of credit for how he built it, because when he added Bryce Williams, when he added Rink Mast and Alec, people thought it was nice. I don't think people were jumping up and down, and I know nationally it wasn't like, oh, look at what Nebraska did in the portal this offseason. There wasn't that commotion. But he thought he knew what fit what they wanted to do, and he was right. And that's why, Matt Painter's had a great year as Purdue's coach with what they've done. But, I voted, and I think Fred should be the coach of the year, and it's quite a feat for how he's sort of recalibrated this program and the way they're doing things in the last 2 years after a really tough first few years.
You feel like he'll win it? Like, is he the front runner in your mind, or is it
Painter?
I think
I'd be surprised if he doesn't win it, because it feels like usually it goes to the person who took that team that was picked like 10th through 14th or somewhere in there. Nebraska was 12th, and surprises everybody. Last year was Chris Collins. I think Painter's the only obstacle to him winning it, but I would guess that Hoiberg gets the most votes.
Well, Nebraska's 22-9. It's the best record in a long time. 2014, this is a better team than that team in 2014 that got hot at the end of the year. I think it's got more options, certainly, to score the basketball, and it's become a better defense. In fact, over the last month or two, they've been one of the best defensive teams in the entire country. So that we talk about Hoiberg and that being the offensive identity that he normally has, but this defense has kind of carried him. But they're 22-9, 12-8, and they solidify the 3 seed. Is this the team you think can win the tournament?
Possible. I think they can. I think they can win a couple games at least. I think they did themselves a favor today, because as a 3 seed, Illinois is not chopped liver, and you got to get through whoever the 6 seed is first, and that's going to be a tough game on Friday night. But I think the path to Sunday is better when you don't have to go through Purdue until the end. I know obviously Nebraska beat them earlier in PBA, but it's a different test on a neutral site. I'd love to see this team get another crack at Illinois. Of course, that was the one where, if there's not a foul called in the last second, Nebraska wins by 1 at Illinois, and maybe finishes second in the standings if that game had flipped and you flip the results around. So I like the path that they set up now. We'll see who they get on the other side in the 6-11 setup. And there's some teams that they could get a really tough 6 seed matchup. I mean, Iowa still, I think, could be that, and they're hot. It could be a Michigan State. I don't know how the Michigan State Indiana game turned out. It's finishing right now, but they'll have a tough game on Friday. But the beauty of this is, guys, we're not going to Minneapolis now with like, oh, what if they lose on Thursday scenario? Could they be like in the first 4 game, or are they in danger? We put that to bed, I think, and that it's really going to be a nice week around here, where even if you're the biggest worrywart on the planet about Husker sports, and we're trying to figure out how they might not get in the bracket, they're in the bracket now. They're in. It's just a matter of where. And they can go and try to play loose in this tournament in Minneapolis, and go as far as you can. And ideally, they do win a game or two, because I think it'd be cool for Nebraska's profile if they're playing those weekend games on CBS like the women played today. In that kind of with that kind of audience. So that's hopefully they can get that.
Final from Bloomington, Indiana 65, Michigan State 64. Game just finished.
Wow. Indiana's they've turned the script. So if you get them as like a 6 seed, which I think they still had a shot at if they won, any of those games could be tough, but that's it. You're playing with, it's house money, whatever you want to call it. That Friday night game, Nebraska doesn't have a world of pressure on it. They're going to be in the dance, and now it's just like, all right, you're a good team. You're going to play a good team. Just get after it without the weight on your shoulders. And I like how this team has just dealt with pressure throughout, and they did what they needed to do to not make this weekend a fire drill or anything like that where they got to do something amazing. They're in, and now let's see what they can do.
Okay, real quick before we let you go, best case scenario, the Huskers win the Big Ten tournament. What's the highest seed you think they get? Worst case scenario, they get bounced on Friday. What do you think is the lowest seed they can get?
I think the lowest seed, and I think it's way too low. I don't think they should get it. Is the 10 seed. I think they'll get in the 8-9 seeding. That's what I think there is going to happen. I think the best case scenario is the 7. I know you're talking to Chattel today too, and I think he would tell you this as a longtime follower of this thing. Like, I don't know how much the committee actually rearranges seating after like Thursday or Friday. You know what I mean? Like of course there's that surprise team that will win the tournament that isn't supposed to, and they knock somebody out. But I think a lot of that seeding starts to get a set sort of by about Friday. So I don't know how much Nebraska can change it. Maybe they can bump themselves up one line by going all the way to Sunday. But if you had to guess, if I were to give my prediction right now, I'd say like an 8-9 seed. We'll see who's on the other side as the 1 or 2. I'd like them to be in the 7-10 because then you get that 2 seed matchup maybe, and it's a little better, but we'll see.
It's all about matchups, right? It's not even about the team that you're playing and their talent. It's how do you match up with that talent? And right now, defensively, Nebraska seems to match up with a lot of different teams because of their size and their versatility. One before we go, spring game, April 27th. What's your biggest storyline right now for the football team?
Everybody's going to say quarterbacks, but I wrote this the other day. There's guys at wide receiver that I am really interested in just seeing where they go this spring with it. Like Isaiah Nair, the kid out of Texas that they got through the portal. I know everybody's excited about Jamal Banks for good reason. I think he's going to be solid. I'm curious if Nair can really find it sort of like he had it at Wyoming prior to his ACL injury when he went to Texas. So he's one of the guys I'm really curious about. And then, just that young crop of receivers. And I'm not even just talking about like Malachi and, Jalen Lloyd, but Demetrius Bell, I think could be a spring story if he has his head on right, because I think he's got a lot of talent behind the scenes that they like. And Ja'Cory Barney's a newcomer at receiver. So I could answer that like, it's like asking like who should be the MVP of the basketball team. You can go like 4 or 5 answers, but receiver is definitely one where there's a lot of different bodies, and it's going to be interesting how that pecking order sort of works itself out.
DC, I'm guessing you'll be in Minneapolis. We'll see you there. I'm going to go.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, I'll see you there, and let's be there till Sunday. That'd be fun.
I'll get you a beverage. There he is,
All
Brent
right.
Christopherson
Thanks,
of
BC.
Husker 24/7. We appreciate the time. Always a good discussion on Husker basketball, a little Husker football, but just not a lot to talk about right now.
Yeah, we're in that lull, and plus it's March Madness, man, and Nebraska's involved. So.
Isn't that fun?
It is.
Because doesn't it tear you apart? It does me. When you have to look at every other team and think, man, we should be able to beat that team. We should be that good. We always have that discussion. Why isn't Nebraska Iowa State? Hoiberg was at Iowa State. That's what thought we were going to get. And now this team actually looks like some of those Iowa State teams. It's kind of fun.
Well, and the funny thing is he had teams that had the talent that some of the Iowa State teams had. He had guys that wound up, Delano Banton in his 1 year under Fred winds up, getting drafted. He's in the NBA for a couple of years. And of course, Isaiah Roby was a Tim Miles. And so he doesn't really get credit for that. But then you got Bryce McGowan's and some other guys that are getting shots. And now you've got a team full of guys that more than likely none of them will play in the NBA. And they're better than all these other teams. So
yeah, Casey, if he were 3 inches taller, he'd be in the NBA. But he's 6'2". He's not a point guard. So you wonder. But he can be a scoring freak. I mean, the explosion in the first half was ridiculous. He made some shots that were absolutely ridiculous. Bryce Williams looks like a guy that could play in the NBA just because he's got length. He can shoot. He can handle the ball. Obviously, he's Nebraska's point guard. I would say he has the best chance right now. Josiah Alec, you love his effort, and he's been the MVP just in his ability as far as energy is concerned. He's not an NBA player, though. I think we know that.
I would lean Juwan Gary as as possibly the one that
he needs to be a better shooter, and he's really become a better shooter.
Yeah. And I could see Bryce Williams as well. I'm not saying that none of them ever have a chance of playing. I'm just saying that right now there's not a guy that you're like, yeah, that guy is a guaranteed draft pick, and he's going to play anywhere between 2 and 10 years in the NBA.
Yeah, Nebraska doesn't have that, which is great. I actually like the fact that it could be a different guy every night, and it has been this season. This has been a fun year for Nebraska ball. Nebraska ball. You heard it. That's what I described it as. That's not used much anymore, but I'm trying to bring it back. Is that okay?
No, I don't like it.
Okay. I won't say Nebraska ball anymore. Okay. I'm done. I'll never say it again. Nebraska ball. The Big Ten Blitz. I can say that because it's part of our show. We'll run through all the major games of the day and the weekend in the Big Ten, and then we'll rank the teams because that's kind of what we do. It's Tom and Mike. And it's Husker Rewind.
Are you working in or looking to get into the electrical construction industry? The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.36 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Hi, it's Tom and Mike from Husker Rewind. And did you know that people who are represented by an attorney are often compensated up to 3 times more than someone who is not?
Friedman Law has been helping injured people for over 60 years. It's all they do. If you're ever seriously injured in an accident, call Friedman Law at 402-476-1093.
Friedman Law is a family firm that works hard for Nebraska families just like yours.
So if you're ever injured on the job or in a crash, contact Friedman Law at friedmanlaw.com.
Plains Cover Crop is your one-stop seed shop. Call us now for spring and summer forages, CRP mixes, and fall cover crop blends. We do farm-specific consulting for practical and efficient seed blends to fit your geography and goals. With a very diverse inventory, we will tailor a blend just for you. We're also looking for contract growers, and we buy and sell rye. Find us online at plainscovercrop.com. Timeless agronomy practices paired with modern technology. East Highway 20 in Orchard and across Nebraska.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. The last few years have been wild, but we've been here for you through all the ups and downs, and we'll be here for you when you need us the most, for all your travels and for your day-to-day driving. With winter conditions causing problems all over town, the last thing anyone needs this year is constant car troubles. Let us help you drive in peace and make sure you drive to work and to winter destinations safe. A1 Automotive, 11th and L Street downtown, always honest answers.
When it comes to joining the Nebraska Army National Guard, you've heard it all before. College, healthcare, signing bonus. But joining is so much more than that. It's setting yourself up for a new and better chapter of your life. I'm Staff Sergeant Paul White, and because of the Nebraska Army National Guard, I'm in control of my career. And when the workday ends, I get to come home to my family. Write your next chapter by joining the Nebraska Army National Guard. For more information, schedule a meeting with me, Staff Sergeant Paul White at nationalguard.com.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Houses? They're expensive. And once you buy one, you're kind of stuck with it for a while. You need to make sure you get your best house for the best price. You need Ben Bleicher and his team of pros at Professional Realty Group. They'll take the time to figure out what's important for you in your dream home, and they have the expertise to find the hidden issues that could surprise you after the sale. That's professional knowledge, proactive service, we call that potential. Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's Home Service Ambassador. Find more online at prg-ne.com. I could write a commercial telling you how great waffle weekends are at the chocolate season. Or I could just have Rico read you the menu.
Banana Nutella. Nutella topped Belgian waffle with homemade whipped cream, chocolate chips, and freshly sliced bananas. Baconator. Buttermilk waffle with bacon slices tucked inside, topped with salted whipped butter, caramelized pecans, and pure maple syrup.
Waffle weekend brunches at the chocolate season.
PB&J.
40th and Old Cheney or online at thechocolateseason.com.
Life is all about balance, so how about a little sweet and a little heat to make your week? At Wings and Rings, we're introducing our all-new Hot Honey menu for the month of March. Try our one-of-a-kind house-made sauce on the brand-new Hot Honey chicken sandwich or our Hot Honey shrimp and slaw. And of course, you can get it on the traditional boneless or smoked wings that have made Wings and Rings your go-to neighborhood spot. But don't wait, Hot Honey is only here until April 1st, so stop by Wings and Rings at one of our 2 Lincoln locations today, on O Street and on Village Lane.
This is Sunday Rewind on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, Husker Rewind. Tom and Mike. Friedman Law, got to welcome them to the show, our new sponsor. They bring you the injury report. Friedman Law, your injury attorneys.
Husker men's basketball team is going to roll into the Big Ten tournament without Eli Rice, who has a lower body injury, and with Blaze Cada day-to-day as he recovers from off-season surgery. Nebraska women's team goes into the NCAA tournament next week without Allison Widener, who's out for the season with an ACL tear. The Husker baseball team is still missing Joshua Overbeek, who's out with a broken finger. Also, second baseman Caden Brumbaugh is out defensively for the next 6 weeks with an arm injury. However, he will still be able to DH. Nebraska softball is going to be missing Jordy Ball all year. She has an ACL injury, and that is your injury report, brought to you by Friedman Law.
If you're ever seriously injured, call Friedman Law at 402-476-1093, 402-476-1093. Friedman Law has been helping injured people for over 60 years. It's all they do. So if you're ever injured on the job or in a crash, contact Friedman Law at friedman.law. There you go. I want to talk about the Big Ten Blitz. I think rank our teams. I think this is the most fun time of year to try to figure out how many teams are in the Big Ten tournament from the Big Ten, and games are winding down. So let's get to the Blitz.
The Big Ten Blitz. The Big Ten Blitz. The Big Ten Blitz. The Big Ten Blitz.
Ohio State has played some pretty good basketball since they fired their coach. Sometimes it works that way. Chris Holtmann was fired, and they played pretty well. They'll need to do some damage, some serious damage in the Big Ten tournament, but they do get a win today over Rutgers, 73-51, to improve to 19-12. So they would have to go pretty far into the Big Ten tournament to get to, I think, the NCAA tournament. A lock for the NIT, though. Ohio State had 4 players in double figures. Rodney Gale Jr. had 14 points, and Andre Hyatt led Rutgers with 11 points. We'll see how they do in the Big Ten tournament, both those teams, and where they're placed. We're still waiting on the pairings for the tournament next week.
Got a couple of games to finish up. Purdue rolled today. This is what locked Nebraska in as the 3 seed. They went 78-70 over Wisconsin, and somebody's in trouble heading west on O Street. If you're driving down O about 9th Street, look out for the police officer with his lights and sirens going. Purdue did something kind of cool. They honored Zach Edey following the game and retired his jersey. So, I mean, he's going to be the 2-time National Player of the Year. I think that's pretty cool that they did that for him while he's there. You know what I mean? As opposed to bringing him back 5 years later.
I like it.
Basically played through an injured left leg. He finished with 25 and 14.
That's a bad game for Zach Edey
it is.
As of late.
He's the first Big Ten player with 2,200 points and 1,200 rebounds. That's just insane.
Yeah, he's had a tremendous career. I wonder what his career will be like in the NBA. He doesn't really fit today's game. He doesn't shoot the 3 at a high level.
Yeah.
But I would imagine he'll be on a roster.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. National Player of the Year, and he'll be on a roster.
Yeah, absolutely. Fletcher Lawyer had 15 points. Braden Smith 10 points in that game as well. And of course, they've won the conference for the second year in a row, and that was what BC was talking about. Maybe one of the reasons that Matt Painter won't be coach of the year and Fred Hoiberg will, because he has Zach Edey. He has the National Player of the Year. He has loads of talent. Nebraska was picked 14th, weren't they?
12th, and they have 7 guys who can lead them in scoring every night.
Yeah. So Wisconsin, though, you wonder about them. They've lost 8 of the last 11. They're not playing great basketball. Are they on the bubble at 19 and 12?
No, I think they're in. I think they're going to be in as a 7 or 8 seed.
What about Michigan State? Does today's loss hurt Michigan State? Because their net ranking was really high. In fact, I think it was ahead of Nebraska. So I think they're still in.
You know, the funny thing, if you compare Michigan State and Indiana's net ranking, literally strength of schedule is almost identical. Records are almost identical. And Michigan State is like 27th and Indiana's 96th.
Well, maybe
literally everything is almost identical.
Maybe it means somebody's got to win a little bit in the postseason tournament. Nebraska obviously is in. I think we feel safe about that after the win over Michigan today. Saturday, Northwestern beat Minnesota. No problem there. 90-66. They improved to 21-10 in the league. They're just behind Nebraska. They've got the 4 seed as Nebraska just got the, I don't know how they decided that. How did they decide that Nebraska got the 3 and Northwestern got the 4 with the same records?
Victory over the top team in the conference.
Okay, that's right. Nebraska beat Purdue.
They had a better record.
Wisconsin's John Blackwell had 18 points today, but John Wall had a decent game. But you don't see Chucky Hepburn's name a lot, and they have really struggled. Northwestern, back to Northwestern Minnesota, they improved to 21-10. Played really good basketball as of late. Boo Buie with a big game. He had 23. Brooks Barnheiser. I think they're a team that could get hot and win the whole thing, the postseason tournament.
I would agree.
So there you go.
I was going to say, Indiana knocks off Michigan State today. You alluded to it. The loss that Michigan State suffered. 65-64 is the final. Malik Renew had 16. Kel'el Ware had 28 for the Hoosiers. Mbako had 13. For Michigan State, it was basically a one-man show. Tyson Walker goes for 30 today, 11 of 21 from the field. Only 2 other players in double figures, Akins and Hogard. Michigan State's a team that everybody loves Izzo, and like I said, their net ranking prior to today's game, them and Indiana have almost the exact same everything record outside of the overall record. Prior to the game was 18-12. Versus 17-13, yet Michigan State was 27th and Indiana was like 96th. I don't get the NET rankings when you've got 2 schools whose almost every metric is identical, but they're separated that much.
Well, that means the tournament's got to be really important for those teams outside
I think
the top 4, because Purdue's in, right? Purdue's obviously the best team in the league. They're the number 1 ranked team all season long in the league. They're 17-3. They're the 3rd ranked team in the country. They have the best player in the country in Zach Edey. Illinois, I think, is the 2nd best team in the league, especially with Terrence Shannon back and playing pretty good basketball over the last month or so. They are 13-6. Nebraska, though, you wonder if they would have won that game in Illinois, where it went to overtime, a game they probably should have won and didn't get calls to go their way. You wonder if they could have finished 2nd. They probably could have. They would have. Then you have Northwestern. Those 4 teams are all in. Then to me, it gets a little bit hairy. You say you feel safe with Wisconsin in the NCAA tournament. So that's 5 teams if Wisconsin gets in. Then it's Iowa. It's Indiana. It's Michigan State. And maybe Ohio State if they got really hot in the Big Ten tournament to get to the NCAA tournament.
I think the only way Ohio State gets in is if they win. The only way Indiana gets in is if they win the tournament.
They're 10-10. They're 18-13. You're probably right. You're probably right with all the teams after. Wisconsin may need one win. Maybe they
No, they're locked.
You think they're locked?
I think they're locked in. I think they've
been ranked for most of the year.
Yeah.
And when Nebraska beat them, they were a top 10 team in the country, but they have lost 8 of their last 11. And sometimes the NCAA will say, wait a minute, you played terrible basketball at the most important time of the year.
And I shouldn't say they're locked. I could see them possibly not making it if they lose on Thursday.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they go 3-9 in their last 12 games, I would still think they're in a play-in game. They're one of the last 4 in.
Yeah. I think they've got a good basketball team, but I don't know why they played so terrible as of late. Iowa feels like a team that if it gets hot could make a run in the tournament, but they're going to have to make at least, I think they need to win 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think I was that team that, I mean, how strange would this be
The loss today for Michigan State, if Iowa wins a couple in the Big Ten tournament, and they've still got a game tonight too. Let me pull it back up here. But if Iowa wins a couple of games in the Big Ten tournament, and they've got hosting,
Illinois,
but they're hosting.
Yeah.
They're hosting Illinois tonight. They pull off that upset and they win a game or two, and Michigan State bows out on Thursday in the Big Ten tournament. I could see Michigan State being left out or being an 11 seed in a play-in game.
Maybe so.
And then Iowa winds up as a 10 or a 9.
We talk about some of those teams we wouldn't want to play in the Big Ten tournament, and it looks like it could. You mentioned Rutgers because of the matchup. I don't know if I'd want to play Iowa right now.
No, I don't know if I would either. And I don't ever want to play Tom Izzo in March. It just, I don't think that bodes well for your team if you're playing Tom Izzo in March. But flip side is, before this season tipped off, you and I sat here and had the discussion, and it was, this Nebraska team is exactly what wins the way it's built in the NCAA tournament. They're old. They have got length. They have got depth, and they just outwork people. And they've proven that all of those things are 100% true. Nebraska is going to be a matchup problem no matter who they play. It's just what kind of matchup. Bottom line, if somebody's got an athletic center, Nebraska does not match up well against them. They don't have that athlete to match that center.
Interesting question to me. And don't answer it on this side of the door. We'll do it on the other side. But if you could take one player from any Big Ten team and put him on Nebraska's squad, who would you choose?
Bowie.
Oh, well, that ends the argument.
It was Chewy.
Never mind.
I love his game.
Well, let's talk about it a little bit. I mean, if there's a few players out there that you might take to add to this team, because we talk about the fact that Nebraska doesn't have a point guard. They don't have a superstar. They don't have a lot of the things that other teams do, but they do have chemistry, which is one of the things you love about this team. And they're playing with a high level of effort. I think you might have answered the question, but
I wasn't supposed to. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I like the answer. I'll give you mine when we come back on the other side. He's Mike Melby. I'm Tom Stevens. It's Husker Rewind.
Hey guys, Jake Sorensen here from Early Break. The garage door at our house has been needing replacement for a couple years, and a few months ago, we finally did something about it. Steve's Garage Doors and Services was great through the whole process in providing options and also going to the next level to get a door that was approved by our HOA. And best of all, the removal of the old door and installation of the new door was done smoothly with no issues. Call Steve's Garage Doors and Services today at 402-480-2840. Attention all Nebraska basketball fans. The NCAA tournament is coming soon, and Nebraska looks to be on its way to their first appearance in 10 years. Better Tree Removal wants to celebrate the occasion and any possible success in the tournament by offering a deal. If you're in need of tree removal on your property, call or text Todd by March 20th. If Nebraska wins the first round game, you'll get 25% off the bid. If they win 2, you'll get 50% off. You must contact Todd at 402-780-1377 before March 20th.
Spring often marks the beginning of severe weather, which can lead to power outages. LES wants you to be prepared before the storm. Restock your emergency kit, update your info with LES, and if you encounter an outage, report it at les.com/report.
Are you working in or looking to get into the electrical construction industry? The electrical workers of local union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
As the chief buffet officer here at Pizza Ranch, I get all kinds of buffet questions. Here's one from Cole.
Is there a real cactus in your cactus bread?
Great question, Cole. No, there is no cactus in our cactus bread, just sweet cinnamony streusel. It's on our buffet every day, along with pizza, chicken, ice cream, and all your other favorites. Even better, at least for your parents, kids eat free on Tuesday nights. And don't worry, Cole, there's no coal in our coleslaw either.
Pizza Ranch, everyone's favorite buffet.
Have you been accused of a crime? Is your freedom at stake? At Liberty Law Group, we are committed to the defense of liberty for those accused. Facing the court is stressful, overwhelming, and full of uncertainty. At Liberty Law Group, we believe in treating every person with respect, compassion, and understanding. When legal troubles are keeping you up, trust Liberty Law Group to fight your battles. To learn more, call 877-42-LIBERTY. That's 877-42-LIBERTY.
At Union Bank,
people don't have your money has people. First home people, investment people, people who answer the phone and your chats, dream car people, dream retirement people, driving your dream car in your dream retirement people, small business people, credit card people, and all the other people you need. At Union Bank, our people help you do more than you dreamed possible. So stop in and say hello. We can't wait to see you. Union Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
At Southeast Community College, community is our middle name. Our continuing education classes offer personal interest, traffic safety and licensing, online learning, and adult education classes across Southeast Nebraska or online in your own home. Learn pottery or floral design, take a computer course, learn Spanish, how to start writing a book, or Air Fryer 101. See the full schedule of continuing education classes online at southeast.edu/continuing. SCC, your path to possible.
Reading may be the most valuable skill your child will ever learn. And research proves that when children read outside the classroom, they do much better in school. I'm Jenny Vinson, president of the Nebraska State Education Association. It's easy to picture yourself reading with a young child curled up in your lap, but don't forget about your older children. They also need encouragement to read. So set aside some time to read together and help your child achieve and succeed.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association in this station.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the K&TK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeit. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is Sunday Rewind.
Take it back now, y'all.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Now, here are your hosts, Tom Stevens and Mike Melby.
Welcome back. Hour number 2. Tom Stevens, Mike Melby, Husker Rewind. Tom Chattel within the next 20 minutes or so from the Omaha World Herald. The boys' state basketball tournament went on over the weekend. Bellevue West beat Millard North for the state championship, their second in a row, 57-48. In B, it was Omaha Scud over Norris. You had Wahoo defeating Auburn in overtime, 49-42. Jim Weeks, of course, is one of the guys that people are talking about because of the need of the shot clock, which they've implemented in high school hoops, at least in Class A and B. But Weeks fell in overtime, as I mentioned, to Wahoo. Wahoo wins the state title. Amherst over Lincoln Lutheran. You had Johnson Brock defeating Ainsworth. And Nelson Carter had a really nice tournament, by the way. Carter Nelson, sorry, had a very nice tournament. And a big display of dunks and what's coming for Nebraska basketball or football fans. I mean, he almost could play basketball for Nebraska, but he really had a good state tournament. But they don't win the state title. That goes to Johnson Brock. Then you had Sheldon over Maywood Hayes Center to win the D2 title. But there was some discussion about the shot clock, and just watching it, I don't know that it made a dramatic difference. I mean, some of these scores, 49-42, you had 59-54, 52-45. I guess you could make the argument that if you didn't have the shot clock, how low would they be?
Yeah.
There was some bad shooting. That Bellevue West Millard North game, that there were a lot of clunkers in that before Bellevue West heated up in the second half. But I thought it was fun. Andy Markowski did a nice job. I thought they always do a nice job on Channel 12, NET. So there you go. Those were your state winners. But I thought I watched a little bit and saw what the shot clock meant to the game. It didn't seem like it was a dramatic difference to me. Didn't notice a big difference. So
I'd almost like to see him go to like a 24-second shot clock in high school. Just force him to shoot.
Well, and let them get used to it. This is the first year for a lot of schools to have the shot clock. It's been, I think Class A had it last year and they had it again this year. And I think it's moved now to Class B. I'm not an expert on high school sports or high school basketball. But the argument against it was always, well, we don't have anybody that can run it. It costs us extra money to get a shot clock. And then we have to get somebody trained to run it. And why do we need to change? It just sounds tiring. But, I mean, everything involves change. So there you go. We're gonna talk about this, and I think your nominee probably ends the discussion. I asked you going into the break if you could take one guy from any team in the Big Ten and put him on Nebraska's roster, who would you take? And I thought maybe the obvious answer would be the two-time Big Ten Player of the Year, Zach Edey. But you didn't go there; you went Boo Buie, and that's where I would go.
National Player of the Year for Zach Edey, and absolutely not. I delved a little bit. I came up with 4 names off the top of my head, and I'm like, there's somebody else I'm missing. I couldn't remember who it was. I figured it out, but let's modify that question because I love the question. Obviously, my first pick, if I would have been able to say, okay, we can add one guy to this roster from another Big Ten team, to me, it's Boo Buie. And when you're talking Boo Buie, the young man averages 19 points a game, 3.5 rebounds, 5.2 assists, and he simply plays his best basketball when he needs to, when the team needs him to, when it matters.
When the moment, he has a little Tamanaga. I mean, but he's probably a little more controlled than Tamanaga.
Yeah,
he's a little more experienced at just being an overall contributor to the game. He's the point guard. He has the ball in his hands all the time. Casey does not. He's not a point guard, so there's that big difference. But when it really matters, man, that guy just lights up. When I mean, he could carry them, I think, a ways in the NCAA tournament.
If Boo Buie was on this team, I would be surprised if they were not a top 10 team and a top at least 3 seed, possibly top 2 seed.
There's not a team in college basketball he wouldn't instantly make better. But because Nebraska doesn't have a point guard, and they're getting closer to that, Bryce Williams is actually, since he's taken over, he's doing a really good job as a point guard. It's not his natural position, but he's done a really good job of seeing the floor, handling the ball. He's not scoring like today. I think he only had 10 points.
Yeah. 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 0 turnovers, though.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you need.
Yeah.
And Jamarcus has been better, as we know, coming off the bench. He didn't have a great game today.
He was off a little bit shooting.
He was off a little bit. But that's the great thing about this team. You don't need everybody to be on it. And guys seem to sense when they're not on, I'm going to get my teammate involved.
Yeah.
There were teams in the past that sometimes, if I'm not on, I'm just going to keep shooting.
Alonzo Verge, Bryce McGowans don't come to mind. So if we asked, if you said you would answer yours afterwards, would it be Boo Buie or would Zach Edey be it? Or is there another guy that you're thinking?
I think Nebraska doesn't have a point guard in part. I don't know necessarily what they would do with Zach Edey. I mean, obviously, he's a very good passer out of the double team. And Nebraska double teams every center in the league. That's kind of what they do. He's a very good passer out of the double team, but he's a passer directly to shooters. Like, pass it into him, and he passes it, to Braden Smith or whoever out there, Fletcher, and they knock down the 3. Nebraska is more dribble penetration, but the passing's really good, and it starts usually with Rink Mask and his dribble penetration in many cases, or just at the top of the key handling the ball. I don't know how comfortable Fred would be with a player like Zach Edey. Maybe he would love it, but he seems to, the spread offense. He likes guys who can shoot the 3 at the 5, and that's not Zach Edey.
Yeah.
So
your guy would not be Zach Edey.
No, it would be Boo Buie.
Okay.
It would. I mean, I think those are the 2 best players in the league, and it's not, you don't always pick. Another guy might go to Tyson Walker.
Yep.
At Michigan State.
So the 5 that I came up with, Tyson Walker at Michigan State, 18 points a game, 2.9 rebounds, 3 assists a game. But he's a guy that just, young man has got unbelievable talent. Boo Buie is the other one. He would be both of our first pick. Terrence Shannon from Illinois, 21.5 a game, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. He's a guy that just literally can light it up and absolutely dominate, lead a team, be a guy you know is going to get you 22 a game. Kalel Ware from Indiana,
who visited Nebraska. He was at Oregon, I believe, and visited Nebraska after he left Oregon and Dana Altman's program and ended up at Indiana.
Yeah, just a shade under 16 points and a shade under 10 rebounds a game. But the one that I couldn't think of that I was like, I know I'm missing somebody is Braden Smith. You mentioned him a minute ago.
13 points a game, 6 rebounds, 7 assists a game, and he shoots 45% from downtown.
Yeah, they've got a load of what they do is really brilliant. They use Zach Edey, they throw it into him, and then he finds shooters around him, and they knock him down at a really high level. Now, the next step, I think, for Purdue is to win in the tournament. The next step for the Big Ten in general is to win in the tournament. Haven't won a national title since, 2000, Tom Izzo? Michigan State. And they've had some good teams that have made runs, but it's time that the Big Ten get rid of that reputation as a bad tournament conference. Keisei Tamanaga, we're all going to miss him. We know that. He had an incredible first half where he gets 23 points, which is the most scored in any half, I believe, this year. But in the second half, he played more of a decoy role, made some great passes, and Nebraska went on to win it comfortably today over Michigan, and now they're the 3 seed in the Big Ten tournament. But Keisei Tamanaga, how are you? I mean, how much are we going to miss that guy? I mean, he was a preseason all-league guy where I didn't think it was realistic that he was going to be all Big Ten first team, maybe second team or third team. But now on the big stage, when you really need a win on a Sunday, he steps up and it's getting closer. If he has these types of performances, and maybe, I don't know, when they announce the all league, is it before the tournament is over?
I honestly
I'm not
don't
sure.
know.
I'm not sure how much the games this weekend matter.
I would assume it's actually going to be at the conclusion of the regular season, because just like we found out last week that Alexis Markowski was first team all Big Ten and Natalie Potts was the freshman of the year. I believe they'll announce the awards Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday.
But there's always some guy you remember in the tournament that you didn't even know about going into the NCAA tournament. And I think a lot of people throughout college basketball this year have been introduced to Keisei Tamanaga. But there are a lot that just don't watch the Big Ten. They won't watch the Big Ten until you get to the NCAA tournament. You tend to focus on the conference you're in. I did that when we were in the Big 12. That's what the conference I watched, Big 12 games. Or, if you're in the ACC or the Pac-12, I get it. So there's a lot of people that probably still don't know about Keisei. I think if he has a couple of performances, maybe just one, like this in the first round of an NCAA tournament, he'll be on the national stage very, very quickly.
Oh, yeah. I mean, bottom line, wherever Nebraska gets sent to play their first round matchups,
Japanese reporters in droves
in
are
the
going to be there.
NCAA tournament, when he pulls up from the logo in the middle of the court from 38 feet out and drains one, then trust me, it'll be like, hey, everybody in the Big Ten has been watching this all year. But, and it becomes, Sports Center top 10 stuff. And you've got Scott Van Pelt interviewing him afterwards because he goes off for 30 and an upset of, number 1 seed, whoever Nebraska takes on after they win the 8-9 game.
He's just so fun to watch. I mean, I know we haven't taken it for granted because Nebraska is, top 20 in attendance every single year. And we've seen the crowds at PBA. They've been absolutely fantastic. And we've talked about the fact that if he's on your team, you love Keisei. If you're playing against him, you probably don't love Keisei. I don't think he gets enough calls from officials, but the guy can absolutely shoot and just light a fire as quickly as anybody I've ever seen play college basketball at times.
There's other guys that could, but the thing is, it's not just from deep. That's the one thing, and BC alluded to it as well. That's why I wanted to ask him the question: What are you more impressed with today? The 6 layups where Keisei goes flying after he makes unbelievably difficult finishes at the basket, or the bombs that he hit, contested or not, or from 38 feet or not, and it's like, no, around the basket, because he does things. And the thing was, there was a couple of times where Indiana had a little bit of a run going. And I know a couple of Bryce Williams free throws stopped the 8-0 run there after we'd gotten up 70-50, but Tamanaga had buckets at big times. Like we had another scoring drought. Keisei came off the bench, and what's he do? He's got a wide open look for 3. He fakes, drives around a man, and makes a circus layup.
And watch how many times Nebraska scores because defenses are so focused on him, they let somebody to roll to the hoop. It happens all the time where two guys will go with Keisei and a man is lost, and that Nebraska guy is free to the rim. And if Rink has the ball, he'll find him every time.
How many times this year, you and I played kind of organized basketball a little bit in high school, or, some Y League stuff or whatever. We know the game well enough to kind of know what we're talking about, but we know what we like to watch.
Sure.
the way Nebraska runs that offense, what Fred Hoiberg has them doing with the cutting, the off the ball movement when you're on the offensive side is poetry at times.
Yeah.
How fun must it be to play in this offense?
It's fun to watch. This is the best team since. It's better than 2014. It's better than many of the teams that Danny Nee had in the late 90s. I wouldn't say it was as good as probably 94 or 98 or some of those teams.
If you're talking pure talent wise, no, it's probably not in the top 3 or 4. Maybe it's the top 5.
It may not even be as good as the one with Copeland or they had some,
James Palmer Jr. Isaac Copeland.
Yeah,
I from the standpoint though of how the team finishes, I think this is the best team Nebraska has had since 98-99.
That's a long ways back.
Yeah, it is. And we've had some great players. We've had 2 or 3 really good players that played well together that you could see some chemistry. We've had teams that got hot and got on runs. 10-year anniversary
2014
of Petaway and company. But I don't ever remember a Nebraska basketball team.
I'd take this team versus that 14 team, and I really love Petaway and Shields. They were fun.
Yeah.
Kenny Parker was great.
Yeah.
Ty Webster was fun. That was a fun team to watch. Walt Pitchford went off at times.
Yeah, his first year here was amazing. His second year, he kind of got lost in the world. And
you had nice complimentary pieces like Leslie Smith, who came in.
Yeah,
but this is a much better. I think this is just a better team. And as you mentioned, there's not one guy who will play in the NBA on this team.
There's a couple that could, but there's not one guy immediately where you're sitting there going,
I hope they do.
Yeah, I do too.
I hope they
play. You and I are talking.
Again, Bryce Williams maybe has a chance, and who knows how much better guys will get. I mean, Jamarcus Lawrence has talent where he can certainly rise to that level at some point.
I just sit there and look at Juwan Gary at times and the way he plays, and he plays like an NBA player to me.
He's got huge shoulders. He's just what this team needs. He's the ultimate team player, and I think they're all that way.
He reminds me of Draymond Green without the bad attitude. He really does.
Yeah. They're about the exact same size, aren't they?
Yeah. And he plays with a tenacity. He plays with a controlled tenacity, whereas Draymond Green plays with an out-of-control tenacity. Yeah. And he loses his mind.
That was so much fun today in Nebraska. We'll play this weekend. I will be there, so I won't be on the show next week.
Bach will be.
But Bach will be here. I'll call in if you want me to.
Absolutely.
I don't think that game on Friday night starts till
after 8.
And then who knows from there if they keep winning. But if I'm still there and we haven't driven back, I think we're driving. We're just going to get in the car and drive.
I talked to your wife earlier today. She said you're driving.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
So
if the wife says it's true, then it is true. Tom Chattel will be great. He loves talking about Husker hoops. He wrote about it today in the Omaha World Herald.
Great article.
He writes on a consistent basis as well about Nebraska football. So we'll talk about both coming up next. Hi, it's Tom and Mike from Husker Rewind. And did you know that people who are represented by an attorney are often compensated up to 3 times more than someone who is not?
Friedman Law has been helping injured people for over 60 years. It's all they do. If you're ever seriously injured in an accident, call Friedman Law at 402-476-1093.
Friedman Law is a family firm that works hard for Nebraska families just like yours.
So if you're ever injured on the job or in a crash, contact Friedman Law at friedmanlaw.com.
Okay, it's time to sell the house. How do we even begin to choose from the hundreds of realtors in town?
Easy. We make a pros list.
You mean a pros and cons list?
No, just a pros list. We need someone with pro photography to showcase the house in the best possible way, pro marketing to make sure we get maximum exposure, pro negotiations so we know we get the best price.
This is one of those times where you already know the right answer, isn't it?
You know it is. Ben Bleicher and Professional Realty Group.
Contact Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's Home Services Ambassador. Online at prg-ne.com.
Have you been accused of a crime? Is your freedom at stake? At Liberty Law Group, we are committed to the defense of liberty for those accused. Facing the court is stressful, overwhelming, and full of uncertainty. At Liberty Law Group, we believe in treating every person with respect, compassion, and understanding. When legal troubles are keeping you up, trust Liberty Law Group to fight your battles. To learn more, call 877-42-LIBERTY. That's 877-42-LIBERTY.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
At Allo, we believe in the exceptional. From extraordinary whole home coverage to super fast speeds, our local teams are always on hand to make sure your service is running at top performance. Let go of lag, banish buffering, and enjoy outstanding service throughout your entire home. We believe in delivering nothing less than exceptional service, so that's exactly what we do. Visit us at allofiber.com to experience the exceptional.
Plains Cover Crop is your one-stop seed shop. Call us now for spring and summer forages, CRP mixes, and fall cover crop blends. We do farm-specific consulting for practical and efficient seed blends to fit your geography and goals. With a very diverse inventory, we will tailor a blend just for you. We're also looking for contract growers, and we buy and sell rye. Find us online at plainscovercrop.com. Timeless agronomy practices paired with modern technology. East Highway 20 in Orchard and across Nebraska.
Hi, folks. Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and the Chevrolet and GMC Truck Month is now underway. We've got huge savings in Louisville. Get $9,000 off or 1.9% for 72 months on select models. Yes, you heard right. That's $9,000 off or 1.9% for 72 months happening right now at Koppel. So take that short money saving drive down 144th Street or check us out online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. All deals with proof credit. Stock number G214773.
As the chief buffet officer here at Pizza Ranch, I get all kinds of buffet questions. Here's one from Cole.
Is there a real cactus in your cactus bread?
Great question, Cole. No, there is no cactus in our cactus bread, just sweet cinnamony streusel. It's on our buffet every day, along with pizza, chicken, ice cream, and all your other favorites. Even better, at least for your parents, kids eat free on Tuesday nights. And don't worry, Cole, there's no coal in our coleslaw either.
Pizza Ranch, everyone's favorite buffet.
This is Brad with Midwest Bank, proudly serving our Nebraska communities for over 70 years. We're a community bank, making local decisions, supporting local organizations, and helping local businesses and farms succeed. We are dedicated to serving our clients and helping them meet their financial needs with sound, innovative banking solutions. From an array of checking and deposit accounts, cash management services, to small business, real estate, and ag lending. We're here for you. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Find out more at midwestbank.com. Member FDIC.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the K&TK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeit. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
This is Sunday Rewind on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to Husker Rewind here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Tom Stevens sits to my right.
Hello.
My name is Mike Melby. Jake Bachhoven, who will be in Tom's seat next week. Efforting. One of my favorite words in radio. Efforting.
Well, a lot of it tends to go on.
Yeah. Mr. Tom Chattel from the Omaha World Herald.
He'll be here.
Quick update. Score-wise, a little surprising. Iowa with a lot to play for. They're one of the hottest teams in the Big Ten, and Illinois is out to a 19-4 lead to start that game. Just under 8 minutes gone in the first half, 12-12 to play.
And that's Iowa at home, you said?
Yeah, 12th ranked Illinois at Iowa up 19-4.
That's surprising. I thought Iowa would win that game, having their backs to the wall. I really like Iowa's roster. It's a typical Fran McCaffrey type team. They don't have maybe a great big, but they do have a lot of shooting. They tend to spread the floor and beat you similar to how Nebraska does. I don't think they're as good of a passing team, maybe even rebounding team as Nebraska. Nebraska just tends to make a lot of free throws. But Iowa's pretty good. I still think I would be concerned about having to play them in the Big Ten tournament, but surprising that they're getting, not that they're getting beat by Illinois, because Illinois is really good, but blown out by Illinois is a little surprising.
Yeah, it's early, but you never know. And just moments away from tip-off in the final Big Ten regular season game, Maryland is at Penn State. Another interesting one where you've got a 7-12 Maryland team and an 8-11 Penn State team. If Maryland somehow pulls the upset there, you get another logjam of teams with the identical conference records. So it'll be interesting to see how the last two games of the day play out and who for sure Nebraska will wind up playing next Friday night. It's going to be after 8 o'clock. I believe it's actually like technically scheduled for 8 o'clock. However,
I thought we'd know by now, but we'll know.
There's still we've got to see how the other two games play out tonight.
All right.
From a
I'm
seeding
not a patient
standpoint.
man. I'm not patient man.
So,
but I'll be okay. I did watch the Nebraska women fall to Iowa today, a game they really should have won, I thought, at the Target Center. But Nebraska goes all the way to the championship round. They win 3 out of 4. They beat Purdue on Thursday, Michigan State, Maryland, which was a great upset. Maryland, who had beaten the number 1 seed in Ohio State. And they had control of that game with, about 2 minutes, 3 minutes left to go. They had a 6-7 point lead. Nebraska had a chance to knock down a 3, I think, made maybe a bad decision in that they pulled the plug early on the shot. Iowa came back. But you know what? You're facing Caitlin Clark. She made so many big shots. Despite the crappy first half, she still had 34 points and made 5 threes in the second half.
Yeah.
She just rises to the challenge all the time. She's really, really good. And I don't feel bad for Nebraska because they'll be in the NCAA tournament. And at 22-11, they should get a nice seed. Or
22-9.
22-9 is the overall record. Yep. Okay. But they should get a nice seed in the NCAA tournament. I would think they were already in, despite what happened today.
Yeah, I think they were as well, very much so. And let's go ahead and jump over to the Allo VIP line from the Omaha World Herald. Now joining us on Husker Rewind is Mr. Tom Chattel. Tom, how was your Sunday? That was kind of fun for a Nebraska sports fan.
What a crazy brunch. Didn't know what to do. And for a while there, I thought, man, this is going to be the greatest brunch ever.
Almost was.
It was amazing.
Well, they win it today with no problems. 85-70. I was flipping back and forth, but Nebraska improves to 22-9, 12-8 on the year. They get the 3 seed in the Big Ten tournament. They won't have to play till Friday with the double bye. We talk about some of the best teams, and you wrote about it today in Nebraska history. This is not better than that 90-91 team, but where does it rank right now? Or do they need a win in the NCAA tournament to prove anything else?
Well, I think it would certainly help. Yeah, I don't know. When you think of the great teams over the years, and you you guys have seen them, and so have I. You think of the stars, the great players, the all Big 8 type guys, the NBA guys, and all those teams had those. This one doesn't have an NBA guy, probably, and I don't think it's going to have an all Big Ten at least first team. So, but it's got a star, and he showed up today in a big way. That's got, guys, I love role players, and this is the best team of role players maybe I've covered ever. I mean, I'd have to think about it. Certainly Creighton has had some, and over the years, KU and Missouri, when I was down there, this team reminds me of a lot of those Missouri teams I covered. Norm used to have guys who knew how to rebound, and then they would set hard picks, and they would knock people down. And they had guys who would hit shots, and they had guys who just had guards and centers, and this team seems to have everything. And I love role players, and because the guys who are just kind of lunch bucket guys. And, man, this team has all of that. And just watching them today, I mean, Josiah Allen is all over the place. And he's so handy. He when you need a rebound, he's got it. When, he's got to set a pick, he does it. He just makes his presence known every time. And the hustle plays today were very noticeable. I thought that would be a key to the game because Michigan at this point of the year is probably not going to hustle too much. I know it's senior day, but they've had a long year. I thought that was area where Nebraska could probably beat them, to the ball, and they sure did. So, I don't know. I mean, if they win an NCAA tournament game, they become the all-time team in terms of Nebraska history. They have the ace in the hole. They have the thing that nobody else has. So I think it's one of the better teams equipped to go win a game because of the versatility and the fact that if one guy isn't working, they can find some other things that weren't working, like that. The '94 team got to Long Island and lost to Penn, and they weren't hitting shots. Well, they couldn't figure out other ways to score. I think that if this team isn't hitting, doesn't have Casey hitting, they can find other ways to score, and they can play some defense. So that's the long-winded answer to. I think it's one of the all-time teams. It's on the list. However you want to rank them, they're on the list, and the number 22 has only been achieved 5 times, and they're one of them.
Yeah, and that's the remarkable thing, is that it's tied for second most wins. It's been done 3 other times that it's been 22 wins than the 26 and 18 from 1991. Talk about Casey and the other guys that can go off. That's the interesting part, is that everybody seems to accept their role on a game-by-game basis, because you go in and it's Casey's supposed to score a lot. Rink is supposed to get 5 to 7 assists and rebounds every game and score a little bit. And everybody's supposed to do this. Well, then they get into a game and one of the people is not doing exactly what you kind of hope their role would be. Somebody else steps in. Whoever's not scoring as much as they were expected to, someone else steps in. They are as deep of a Nebraska basketball team as I ever remember. I've been following it since probably the late 70s. And I cannot think of a team that I sit there and go, you know what? If that guy's off, we're done. Well, if that guy's off, we got 3 others that can do it.
The thing that's absolutely right. And this is the cool thing, the great thing about what Fred Hoiberg has done. And, he was a personnel guy in the NBA. And so he comes here and he's got his sidekick, Abdel Nasser, acting as a GM or whatever. And they're trying to get 5 stars and the national guys to come here. And this is a different type of Coach Hoiberg and his staff. They're finding these transfers who, and basically a lot of these guys are transfers. Gary, Mass, Alec, Matthews. These guys are all transferred in, and they obviously scouted them and said they're going to fit into what we want to do, and they've been perfect fits. And you can't argue with anything that they've done. They've remade this program in 2 years' time, and they've done it with a lot of transfers. Of course, Sam Griesel is the guy who stands out, obviously. But just knowing what you need and being able to get it on the transfer market, Fred did that at Iowa State. He was out in front of everybody. Now everybody's got these guys, but he's still got the knack. He's still got the touch for finding what you need.
Yeah.
And so I love that. I love that about this. When he's Coach of the Year, he should be. It's because of that eye for talent and eye for knowing what a good basketball player is and what you need.
Yeah, it feels like they kind of had that. You mentioned some of the guys on last year's team, and Walker being one of them, and they kind of figured out a way to play, and it took him a while. But does this feel like a formula now that can be repeated? Because they've done it now without superstars, some of the guys that will never play in the NBA. Maybe Bryce Williams could. There's Casey who might get a sniff. Who knows? But they're not automatic NBA players. But it feels like they've figured out a formula. Is it something that you see as being repeatable for Fred?
Yes. The hard part's over, and that's defining the right style and the right system for this league, and then getting the guys to make it work and show evidence, show proof that this is the way to go, and then you deliver the winning. That's happened in 2 years. So now you have a template to show other transfers, and obviously high school kids too. You want to have a good number of high school kids who were your the backbone of the program. But you've got an identity now, and I've said for years that in fact one year Kent Pavelka and I went round and round on social media. It was kind of funny. A couple of old guys yelling at each other. So I said I had written that Nebraska, under Tim Miles didn't have an identity. When you have to have a play, who are you? When you have to make a play, you have to win a game. Who are you? And I said Nebraska's never had that, and it's been years. And Kent thought I meant identity. Well, Nebraska, the Nebraska fans, show up and they support their team. And Nebraska, they're always trying hard to win. They're the ultimate underdog, and so on and so forth. So that's certainly that identity is certainly still there. But the one I mean is, who are you when times get tough? How do you win? What do you lean on to win? And is it defense? Is it this or that? I think they have that now. And yes, I believe the best part about this, other than winning a game in March, best part about this is that there's going to be continuity, and there's a style going forward. There's something that works, and they can build on. And we don't have to talk about the coach being in trouble. Isn't that wonderful?
It is.
We don't have to worry about all that crap. So, which seems to be something we talk about in Nebraska basketball every 4 or 5 years. So, it's been it's really been a great second year. A good backup year. We didn't know what kind of year this was going to be. When they got Rink Mass for Bradley, I said, Bradley guy, really? Yeah. Missouri Valley, okay, we'll see. Boy, he's been great, and they've all been great. And I'm it's can they win 22 every year? Can they finish third? I don't know, but they should never fall off the cliff. They should always be right in the mix.
Hey, Tom, one of the things you alluded to is identity, and you said when the game is on the line, you don't know what Nebraska is going to do with Tim Miles, and you and Kent had the great argument, and I remember some of it, and it was hilarious. But this year, Tom and I were just talking last segment about how beautiful the offense is that Fred Hoiberg runs, and when we need a play, we've got 7 or 8 guys that can make the play, and we have a head coach that is so brilliant offensively. They are going to have a play. That they have an answer to what they need to solve the problem or to handle the situation.
That is such a great point. And I'm going to steal that. So thanks.
You're welcome.
You're right. I mean, their identity is now defense and hard work and never giving up and always fighting. But meanwhile, the head coach has all these logarithms in his head rolling around. The beautiful mind is still very there and very active. And, he can, that used to be his calling card, right? It was the offense. He was the Steve Kerr of college. He was gonna out scheme you. He had, sets and ways to guys, motions and ways to get people open. Those are still there, and people, I think that they use it like a secret weapon right now. It's like, this is not who we are, but we still have this. So if we can lull you into this kind of game. All of a sudden, there goes Mast on the back door, or he's out front, holding the ball up, trying to find somebody who's cutting, and there goes Gary, there goes Casey. And those things are still there. You still see wide open baskets, and you go, yeah, I remember they've still got this offensive thing going. Oh yeah, and it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard if you're an opponent because, those things are hard enough. Yeah. But if you get and that's the other thing about it. The guys they have, these role players, one of them can shoot. One of them can shoot. One of them know how to. They know how to do offense.
Yeah.
And so that helps.
Yeah, Casey's got to keep coaches up at night. I mean, all night long. Sometimes trying to devise defenses against him because you leave him like you did today, just for a half second, and try to go under a screen, you're dead. When he's shooting like he was today. I know you wrote about Nebraska basketball today. What are you thinking about as far as the next big story for Nebraska football? Obviously, the spring game isn't until April 27th.
Yeah, I believe we're gonna. But it starts up in about a week or so, maybe.
Yeah.
Yep.
Try to keep it on the back burner. Where some of the new pieces fit in this spring, and I look at this spring as okay. You have the foundation. Now, what's the next step? How do you build on that? I think it's leadership. I think it's guys, that okay. Everybody knows what's expected. Now, who's going to take it up a notch? And as for leaders come in, you had guys who came back. There was a lot of retention. Not many people left. And you guys like, Ty Robinson is, a huge leader. These guys are the polar bear. These guys are still, I just look for the spring as, there was probably a bad comparison. I compared those two guys coming back to Jason Peter and Grant Wistrom in '97, but it's a little bit like that where the spring, okay, we know what's expected, and we've got leaders who are going to push everybody. I think they'll be on offense too, and everybody's going to be pointing at the quarterback, Dylan Raiola. What kind of leader is he going to be? Now, some guys don't think, I'm the new guy. I can't speak up. I got to know my place. But there's a case where if he is the right kind of leader who does it by example, he's got a chance to be a leader and a guy who kind of takes over. There's no controversy. There's no duel. I mean, I say that, Daniel Kalin is certainly very capable, but we all know this is going to be Raiola's deal. So I think there's a chance to form something this spring, whether X's and O's, that kind of stuff. We'll see what the offense wants to morph into this 49ers thing. Hopefully a little bit better than what the Niners did in the Super Bowl, but no, I want to see a running game. I want to see a running game develop this spring.
Yep.
I think that's a very handy thing to have. But a lot of pieces back. I want to see leadership, Raiola's role, and a running game.
Great stuff, Tom. Hopefully we're talking to you as you're on your way back from Minneapolis, and Nebraska is holding the Big Ten championship trophy. That'd be great.
Yeah, I will not be going. I'm staying here. The Selection Sunday, we have a regional in Omaha, so I'm going to stay here and kind of write about that.
Oh, good.
Then I'll be watching Friday night, the Late Show, and then as a 3 seed, they wouldn't play Purdue until Sunday. So, yeah, I guess they would play Illinois if they get to Saturday, maybe. So it's all fun stuff. The ladies are terrific. The men, I just love that. It's like I said, too bad that there's nothing to write about.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's great.
It's fun to talk about relevant Nebraska basketball this time of year. Great stuff.
It makes everything so much better. You're right.
You're right. Thanks, Tom. We appreciate the time. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey guys, thanks.
Tom Chattel of the Omaha World Herald, the legend. Great conversation. Let's get to break and come back with our final segment after this.
The Planet Fitness Black Card is packed with perks, not like other gyms.
Hi, can I bring a friend to work out? Oh, okay. Is my membership good at other locations? Okay. Do you have any other amenities?
But at Planet Fitness, the PF Black Card gets you tons of perks. Bring a friend for free anytime. Access to any of our 2,500 plus locations. Relax in the hydro massage and so much more. Join for just $1 down, $24.99 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends March 15th. See Home Club for details.
Hi, everyone. Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. The last few years have been wild, but we've been here for you through all the ups and downs, and we'll be here for you when you need us the most. For all your travels and for your day-to-day driving. With winter conditions causing problems all over town, the last thing anyone needs this year is constant car troubles. Let us help you drive in peace and make sure you drive to work and to winter destinations safe. A1 Automotive, 11th and L Street downtown, always honest answers.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
A team succeeds when they work together. Banking's no different. At UBT, we're in your corner for every financial move you want to make. Your money's backed by a roster of experts who put in the work to know you and your community. So whether you're opening a savings account, buying a home, or planning your future, you always know who to turn to. Working together toward your financial goals. That's a win in our playbook. Union Bank and Trust. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Your business runs like a well-oiled machine. It's important that your actual machines do too. Stern is here to make sure you don't have to worry about that. They provide solutions for heavy equipment and automotive fuels, lubricants, and equipment guard options. And with Stern's commitment to customer service for the past 40 years, you know you have a partner to help support your operations for years to come. Contact Roger at Stern Company by calling 1-800-477-2744 or visit them online at stern.co. Stern Company, where problems meet solvers.
24/7 threat monitoring, expert tech support, streamlined communications. Allo has a solution for that. Protect your business with Allo Business. Comprehensive firewall security, Microsoft Teams voice integrated communications, cybersecurity and IT support managed by experts. From productivity to peace of mind, Allo has a solution for that. Allo means business. Protect your business by visiting allofiber.com/business.
Life is all about balance, so how about a little sweet and a little heat to make your week? At Wings & Rings, we're introducing our all-new Hot Honey menu for the month of March. Try our one-of-a-kind house-made sauce on the brand-new Hot Honey Chicken Sandwich or our Hot Honey Shrimp and Slaw. And of course, you can get it on the traditional boneless or smoked wings that have made Wings & Rings your go-to neighborhood spot. But don't wait, Hot Honey is only here until April 1st. So stop by Wings & Rings at one of our 2 Lincoln locations today, on O Street and on Village Lane.
Have you been accused of a crime? Is your freedom at stake? At Liberty Law Group, we are committed to the defense of liberty for those accused. Facing the court is stressful, overwhelming, and full of uncertainty. At Liberty Law Group, we believe in treating every person with respect, compassion, and understanding. When legal troubles are keeping you up, trust Liberty Law Group to fight your battles. To learn more, call 877-42-LIBERTY. That's 877-42-LIBERTY.
Hey, it's Chad of the Nutrition Authority inviting you to stop in and check out the all-new complete post-workout recovery, CPR. CPR is ideal for anyone who works out or competes and wants to maximize results. CPR can only be found at Nutrition Authority. Stop in today and try a free sample or visit us at mynutritionauthority.com.
It's phishing season. Bad actors are trolling your business emails, luring you and your employees to take the bait and steal your private information. Make sure your cybersecurity keeps your business from being the catch of the day. At Hamilton, cybersecurity is our business. We are experts at keeping your network and business information secure and off the hook. Contact Hamilton for a vulnerability assessment today. Hire your local experts. Hire Hamilton at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
This is Sunday Rewind on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back. Final segment. Tom Stevens, Mike Melby, Husker Rewind. Big thanks to BC, Brian Christopherson from Husker 24/7, and Tom Chattel from the Omaha World Herald. Love having both those guys on the show, and I love talking about relevant Nebraska basketball in March because it doesn't happen every year or almost any year. But it's happening this year, one of the 5 best records in Nebraska basketball history. And if they win a game, I don't know that you can argue that this is, yes, talent-wise, that team 90-91 was loaded and more talented than this one. But the question isn't talent. The question is best. Can you win in March? Can you play your best basketball? Sorry about that. Best basketball during the last part of the season. And when was the last time Nebraska did play their absolute best basketball this time of year? They're doing it.
2013, 2014, and then when they lost to Ohio State after being up by, was it, 20 early in the second half in the Big Ten tournament, I knew they were toast.
I remember driving back. We were coming back from Hawaii, and we were driving from Grand Island. We'd taken a Allegiant Air to Vegas and then to Hawaii, which is a crazy route. But driving back from there, and we had the big lead, and then it evaporated. Yeah, and then it carried over to the Baylor game.
Yeah, you just knew that Baylor game, there was no chance.
Yeah. Well, actually, when Tim Miles got kicked out, they started to come back in the second half.
True. Looking ahead to next Friday, though, the 6th seed, that would be who Nebraska is going to be matched up with. They'll play whoever comes out of the bottom 4, but it's going to be either Iowa, Indiana, or Michigan State. It's going
Who would you like to play? Who's the best matchup you think of?
Right. Well, I was going to say Indiana earlier, and I think I said Indiana earlier, and right now I'm like, I don't know, man.
They're all tough.
I just don't want to play Izzo.
I mean, last year we had a pretty good matchup in the first round in Minnesota, and it was stinky.
Yeah.
After playing really, really good basketball. I mean, that probably would have gotten them into the NIT last year.
Yeah, that would have.
So there you go. Nebraska baseball has won 3 series in a row. They started off poorly on Friday night. Did not play good baseball. It was really cold weather. You wonder if some of the guys wanted to play. I wouldn't have in that cold weather, 35 degrees, I think, at first pitch. And they go down 11-3. So they did not play well in the home opener for Nebraska. But then on Saturday, they win 13-2 with Brett Sears on the mound. He had 7 strikeouts over 8 innings. 16 hits today in a 12-7 win over Alabama. No, 16 hits yesterday. I'm sorry. Today they beat Southern Alabama 12-7 after being down 6-1. So this team's got some grit. I mentioned that stat where they hadn't won any game in the Big Ten era. They were like 10-23 in the Big Ten era, and then they went to Charleston and they won 2 of those in the late innings.
In the 9th inning, yeah.
And this one, not the 9th inning, the 6th, but they've kind of shown they're the cardiac kids a little bit.
Yeah, they have. A big win in being able to come back today, but man, you got to clean up the errors. That's the one thing.
5 errors.
And then,
I guess I see it in a somewhat positive sense in that you had 5 errors, you still win 12-7.
Yeah, true. I mean, getting the win is the most important part of it. But the flip side is the pitching. It's been a little inconsistent, but you're seeing guys step up. It's a little bit reminiscent of the basketball team where we talk about, hey, Drew Christo a couple of weeks ago was lights out, pitching like everybody expected him to, and then he's struggled a little bit as of late. And we have other guys that come out of the pen and then pick up the slack. Real quick, before we jump anywhere else, I want to mention Nebraska wrestling today wound up putting 9 automatic qualifiers into the NCAA tournament. 1 more than last year. They had 8 last year. They get 9 in
Are
this
they
year.
still 3rd ranked?
Including Nash Hutmacher.
3rd ranked. But they were 3rd ranked at the last check. Yep. Boy, it's been a great year for Mark Manning and the wrestling team.
Yep.
You win the Big Ten, you have a chance to win the national title. That's how good the Big Ten is every single year. And they'll make some noise in the postseason, so that's good news. Nebraska baseball playing well, Nebraska basketball, even the women with the loss today. What a nice ending for their season. They move on to the NCAA tournament. I move on to Minneapolis. I'll talk to you from there next week, Mike.
Awesome. That'll be Bach and I.
Bach will be in next week. It's Husker Rewind for Mike Melby, Tom Stevens. We're out of here. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Hi, it's Tom and Mike from Husker Rewind. And did you know that people who are represented by an attorney are often compensated up to 3 times more than someone who is not?
Friedman Law has been helping injured people for over 60 years. It's all they do. If you're ever seriously injured in an accident, call Friedman Law at 402-476-1093.
Friedman Law is a family firm that works hard for Nebraska families just like yours.
So if you're ever injured on the job or in a crash, contact Friedman Law at friedmanlaw.com.
Hey, honey, what do you like better? Whoop whoop or yeah?
I'm kind of partial to whoop whoop. Why do you ask?
I'm just getting ready to enter Cash Blast from the Nebraska Lottery.
Oh, yeah. The one where you can win up to $5,000 weekly.
Yep. Until April 2nd, just buy a 2x2 ticket and enter the voucher number online.
I already know what my reaction would be if I won.
You do?
Yeehaw! Winna, winna, wow!
Nice. 2x2 top prize odds 1 in 105,000.
Step into healing at Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery. Our team of top-notch medical professionals turns pain into progress with state-of-the-art treatments and compassionate care. Visit Prairie